Hey, what's up, everybody? You guys have been asking for a long time. Michael, do some sort of podcast, do some sort of TV show, do a radio show, do something and tell us about some of those crazy, interesting stories that you got from all these years of your experience here on Earth. The places life will take you, right? So it's called the Michael Allen Podcast because that's my name, and it's a podcast. It's also going to be called It's 5 o'clock somewhere, maybe. Anyway, this was gifted to us. It's a neat little thing here. It kind of glows in the dark. It's got some cool neon lights. It's not an indication to go drink, not supporting that, but it just means it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Listen to the podcast. Maybe you're going to work, heading from work or something. Maybe it's 5 o'clock or wherever time it is, and you could listen and enjoy all the things that we're going to talk about. So, in no particular order, we're just going to start doing episodes. The most recent thing of interest from folks was questions about the Motel 6 post. So for those of you that do know, I went to Bible college up in Columbus, Ohio for close to 3 years. Had an amazing time meeting people from all over the world. I was maybe 19 or 20 years old, and everybody got jobs. Some people got jobs on campus at the church. Some people got jobs serving in restaurants. And my job was the Motel 6 down the road on Scarborough Boulevard. And I didn't know it at the time. I mean, you know, when you're 19 or 20, you're just putting out applications everywhere you can. And whoever bites is maybe where you'll land. And so they called me almost immediately after I dropped off my application there. I figured a hotel makes sense because I needed, you know, lots of hours without being kind of full time. You can work 8 hours, you know, 4 days a week. That gave me 32 hours. It gave me a decent check while still going to Bible college full time. And so that paid for some gas, some dorm fees, some, you know, eating out at restaurants, ties. You know, we had a dress code there, so we bought our fair share of ties and dress shirts and such. So it was a decent little gig for me, pay-wise. They allowed me to kind of make your own schedule. You can come in here when you're done with school, work from 3 to 11. So that put me in the dorms at about 11:25 every single night, which was not the greatest part. Wish I could have got in a little bit earlier, but that's the shifts. So it is what it is. So got a lot of questions about that Motel 6 job, the post there. And so one of the questions was, why was there no police called? Good question. That came from Megan Fowler out there in Orange County, California, also a Bible college student. She was part of the music program. We were part of the Bible study program, the pastoral mentorship program. Anyway, and you know, I never remembered any of us having to call the police. Not that we should have. We probably should have, but we would have been calling them every other night. Every other night, they probably would have been there for something. And we probably would have worn our welcome out. And when we needed them in a real crisis, they may probably not have responded to the Motel 6 if they were being called every other night. So I think that was the main reason. Of course, this is way back in the year 1999, the year 2000. I mean, it's a different world today, and we just kind of handled things on our own. Whatever we best felt like at the time of crisis, we just handled it. And maybe another reason is you didn't call the police is you didn't want these same people coming back the next night and shooting you at the front desk for calling the police on them the Tuesday prior. But we did have a Motel 6 weekend security guard there who is a policeman named Matt. Big Matt, love you guy. And I think they're down there in Florida living now. Anyway, it's crazy how you still keep in touch with all those folks. So Matt was our security guard that we had on the weekends. He was hard to miss. He was about 10 feet tall. Super cool dude. So that's a question there about the Motel 6. We're also going to read some reviews from the Motel 6 because I know some people will get a kick out of that. And this is in no way to slam the Motel 6. They were a good employer for me, and they are probably a good employer for the people that work there now. It's a hotel that did not put a lot of capital in their upkeep, and they want to minimize. They want to maximize costs by minimizing investment into the property. And after so many years of wear and tear, and the weather, as you know, in Columbus, Ohio, can be pretty brutal too. And the clientele. I mean, when your rooms are $40 a night, you have a $40 a night clientele. And so with that, it's a different crowd, man. It's a different audience as opposed to the $125 a night Hampton Inn that you may enjoy staying at. So it's a different crowd altogether. So 20 years later, yeah, if they've not done any upkeep in the building, it's going to look like something from Baghdad. So, and that's the way it looked when we rolled up on it the other day. But I knew you would get a kick out of reading some of these reviews. So in no particular order, we will start one here. I'll just read the first name. These are online, so I'm not putting anybody out there that is not already on our line. I think some of them are pretty funny, though. Terrible, worst place I ever stayed. Was embarrassed to have my wife stay there. Keys didn't work, dirty, broken doors, holes in walls, dirty sheets. Slept on a towel to avoid crawling in the bed. Okay. Next one. The sheets had blood on them, as did the mattress cover. We requested a new room and was given attitude by the staff before they finally gave us a new room, but the sheets in the second room were also dirty and nasty. Towels in the rooms were dingy, dirty. Would not recommend. Okay, here's one of interest. From Haley, there was an incident with my friend that came over to visit me and a lady. The lady went crazy on him and took out a knife and tried to hurt him, but I got kicked out for it when I had literally, all caps, literally nothing to do with it. Everyone who saw the incident, even asked my friend, didn't do anything wrong either. Extremely, I'm happy with this after getting kicked out. I didn't have anywhere else to go other than next door, but they wouldn't take all 3 of my dogs, so I had to give up 2 of my dogs. I don't know what that means. Like, where did you give up 2 of your dogs? Where are they? And it's pretty funny how you get the automatic corporate copy paste response. You know, regardless of how crazy these reviews were, it's still this typical best regards nonsense. We appreciate your feedback and we want to assure you that we do not accept this standard of service. We want to make it right. Please use the contact us feature. They're never going to use the contact us feature. They're never going to get in touch with you ever again. And we will give this our immediate attention and you'll never hear from them ever again. But it's funny, regardless of how crazy some of these reviews are, they totally don't acknowledge the fact that there was a murder in your room the night before or the cracked pipe in the microwave. Please call us at customer care service. We want to hear you and your concern resonates with us. Isn't that so crazy what they put in here? Corporate. Hotel was nasty. Hot tub room was half full. Didn't know they had a hot tub there. There was a cigarette in the toilet, ashes in the sink. So it's never a good sign when you check into your hotel room and there's already cigarette ashes in your sink and toilet from whoever was in there before. Owners didn't seem to care at all that there were burn holes in the blankets, towels on the floors. Would not recommend to my worst enemy. Okay, here's a good one. This motel's dirty, nasty. Don't recommend anyone going there unless you want bed bugs. Microwave didn't work and was dirty. Remote didn't work. The rack hanging for the hanging closet was sitting under my sink. Okay, here's a good one. This motel's dirty, nasty. Don't recommend anyone going there unless you want bed bugs. Microwave didn't work and was dirty. Remote didn't work. The rack hanging for the hanging closet was sitting under my sink. As for non-smoking, they gave me a smoking room. In the morning, this is disturbing. In the morning, my baby was playing with something. I looked closer and saw it was a bed bug. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Okay. All right. From Dustin. This place is gross. From the moment you pull in and you see a block party in the parking lot at midnight, people working on their cars, and just general shadiness, loitering, you kind of already know what you're getting to. Yet this gentleman proceeded to check in anyway. Blah, 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 blah. The towel rack again fell off and was leaning on the bathroom sink. They got a lot of problems with their towel racks there, apparently, falling down and leaning up against the sink. Blah, 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 blah. The room in general just looked depressing. Took 10 minutes to find, whatever. So we ended up leaving this motel to go to the next one to it. Don't go to the next one to it, Dustin. That's exactly the same hotel. Where was it? Blood on the top blanket. Lots of complaints of blood here from this hotel. Last but not least, there was a crack pipe in my microwave. Crack pipe in the microwave. And I read, have you ever seen a crack pipe? What does that even look like? And there was another crack pipe finding here in the hotel somewhere during one of the reviews. On our bed, had no comforter. Our smoking room had no ashtrays. The light bulb was missing. No outlets were working. Towel rack in the bathroom. They got such a problem with those towel racks. I think it's from everybody doing, that's where they host the Arnold bodybuilding contest. And so maybe it's from everybody coming in and working on their pull-ups at the Motel 6 there. Of course, they're not going to stay on the wall after that. This was disturbing. I also ended up with I also ended up with bites from something, but I saw nothing. So that was a ghost. That was a poltergeist. Jenny you were bit by a ghost. If you were bit and couldn't see them, that's a ghost. John, 3 years ago, posted, I was never there. So that was his review. He never stayed there. And this is pretty disturbing. Paul says 3 years ago, this is the place that junkies come to die. Very morbid, Mr. Bottom, what you wrote there. Anyway, thought you'd get some reviews. What's crazy about those reviews is it got 4-star reviews as well. So as you scroll through, you can see where you get all the negative reviews, and so we pulled some from that. And then, but believe it or not, there are people with some 4-star experiences at that motel. So good for them. But coming from working from, I did some time at the Motel 6 there, about 3 semesters worth, and then progressed to Hampton Inn, and what was the other really nice place? I forgot the name of it, but go online, check out the photos of the property, check out where the location of the hotel is, make sure it's surrounded by a Courtyard Marriott, a Hampton Inn, a Holiday Inn Express, something like that. If you stayed at this Motel 6 and you stayed through the night to find crack pipes and blood and furniture missing, even though they gave you furniture back, if you have the money to stay at something that's $80 a night or $100 a night, you should. You absolutely should. If you pull in and people are working on their cars and there's a block party in the parking lot, okay, just go down the road to even the red carpet is just a step above that. So anyway. So let's talk about a couple more stories from the Motel 6. What we liked about the Motel 6 was the break room was just adjacent there to the front desk area. And so some of my friends would come in and hang out and do their homework or something just to get away from the dorm life. The break room was also the place where the housekeepers during the day, that's where they had their break room time. And so when I would get there at 3 o'clock, I would have to wipe it down because it was covered in ash smoke. And then I would have to let the window open just to let the smoke of it breathe out before I could kind of sit there and relax in between guests and watch TV or not. So we had no TV in the dorms. Oh yeah, that's what made it kind of interesting there. And they had HBO. HBO was important in the year 2000 because The Sopranos were on. And I don't know of any other show on HBO in my life really other than The Sopranos. And so The Sopranos were doing, what do you call those? They were doing replays, and then they had like the main show that was coming on. I think it was every Sunday night. So The Sopranos were a big deal on HBO, and the break room large TV had HBO. So we enjoyed watching that when we could because we had no TV in the dorms, and there was no streaming, anything like that whatsoever. The Motel 6 was also conveniently located across the street from White Castle. So if you're in the South watching this, we have Crystal, Gut Busters, Gut Bombs, Crystal Bombs. In the North, the franchises are called White Castles, and they even look like little White Castles. It's pretty cool. It's the same thing. You got your steamed little square buns, little steamed meat, and they pack it full of those dehydrated onions. And if you eat 10 of them, you're guaranteed to fall asleep in 30 minutes. So that was a real treat. Also, no longer in existence up in Columbus, Minuteman Pizza. Minuteman Pizza would deliver to the hotel regardless of whatever shootout hostage situation we had going on there. Minuteman Pizza would deliver. What was cool about Minuteman Pizza, they had these different type of pepperonis that they had on the pizza that they would burn like inside out. They would flip upside down. It was just kind of neat. And the box was pretty cool. It had a little, Minuteman on the front of it. And I think the pizzas were $9. So for $9, they would give you a medium-sized Minuteman pizza. And I never would bring anything back to the dorms. We were starving. We lived off Roman noodles, White Castles, Minuteman pizza, McDoubles. McDoubles were big at the time. I think they were 99 cents for basically just a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. And so I would just make myself finish that entire pizza because I didn't want to bring it because there would be the Bible college students waiting for me at the, hoping somebody would bring in people from out of town or their job of employment and bring in some leftovers or something. And another note I made here, cash drops. Cash drops were a thing when you were collecting cash in your business. And back in 1999, the year 2000, people were using credit cards. But when the hotel room was $40, a lot of people were using cash. Cash was still king back then, believe it or not so much now. But cash was a big deal back then. So people would pay for their rooms. They would give you three $20 bills and the room was $45, $36 or whatever the amount was. And then you would have to give them their change back. And when you worked at 3 p.m., you were working the afternoon shift. People are coming in after work, traveling. The hours of 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and you're dealing with kind of maybe one customer after the other. Maybe they're paying for one night, maybe they're paying for three, maybe they live there and they have a balance due and they're only going to pay $36 of what they owe for that day, and they'll catch up the next day. So you're raking in cash, and you've got to do these drops ever so often, or the next thing you know, your drawer has $1,000 in cash with it. So if you get robbed, it's better to give them a drawer that just had $200 or $300 in it, as opposed to hitting a motel. If they were savvy to it, they would hit motels at 7 p.m. Back in those days, they would hit it at 7 p.m. And then there's a likelihood that drawer has $1,000 in it, as opposed to just $200. You can't get in the safe; that's impossible. But if you hit that cash drawer with a lot of cash in it, you could walk away easily with $1,000. So it was imperative to drop cash. That's what they called it, drop cash. And you would have to print, and it was a process. You would have to enter in how much you're over, print out the form, count the cash, and you'd have to count it 3 times. And then you would have to do your cash drop, and then you would have to log into the computer and put in how much you dropped. And it was this big ordeal. And so very rarely could you actually fulfill the process without having a walk-in customer. And so you were constantly trying to remind yourself, I got to drop the cash, I got to drop the cash. And you would take the cash, and you would have, let's say this is, $800 worth of the cash that you're trying to drop. And you're in the middle of your cash drop, and somebody walks in, and you can't, just discreetly walk over with your $800 cash, put it back in the drawer. They're going to look right at you and be like, yeah, disregard the room. Give me the cash. Give me the cash. And so when you do have the walk-in customer, you almost have to just kind of hide the cash, whatever you're kind of in front of. You got the desk up about shoulder, chest level. And so you would find money from people that forgot to do their cash drop the night before, because they got busy. So that's what's called cash drops. And so we were always trying to remember to do the cash drops and try to do them in a timely fashion when it was time. And funny story about the cat, I was trying to remember some other funny stories. That was a long time ago. But here's one. So my manager came out, and he's checking on the cash drops, and he says, hey, have you done the cash drop yet? Because that was what the managers love to talk about 7 p.m. You had live-in managers sometimes. So they would come out there, they're bored to death. They're living in the apartment right behind you, and they wanted to hear, hey, did you do the cash drop? How's it going tonight? Anything crazy happen yet? Have you done the cash drop yet? And I'm like, yeah, about to do it now. I was trying to do it earlier. And so between me and the manager, our money was coming up different. The count was coming up wrong. And the guy, he kind of had an anger problem anyway, I guess. Just from years of working in the motel business at the Motel 6, can't blame the guy. And so he was already kind of wired hot anyway. And so he started cussing up a storm about how the money was different. We found the money, and we all made sense out of it quickly. Our numbers came out correctly. And the guy felt so bad that he came back out from the front desk area from his manager's apartment. Gave me a Pepsi. A pop, as they call it up north. And that was his way of saying, hey, I'm sorry for acting like a complete maniac when we were missing $13. Anyway, here's a cold Pepsi for you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Let me know if you need anything. So anyway, that's just some quick stories about the Motel 6 and reading some interesting reviews there from that place. So before you go stay at a hotel, if you don't know, check the place out. Check out the photos. Check out the reviews. And check out the most recent reviews. That's also going to be a good indicator too. Don't judge a place by just a handful of bad reviews. Everybody's going to have a bad day. But in general, just take a look at what the consensus is. If the consensus is blood, holes in the wall, towel rack underneath the sink, people working on their cars, okay, avoid that cracked pipes in microwaves, cracked pipes behind the toilet. Just do yourself a favor. Borrow an additional $30 from your savings account. Rent the Hampton Inn down the road or whatever. All right? Make good choices, guys. All right, that's it for this clip right here. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff here. We're pretty excited about it. I say we because I've got a secret editor that kind of helps me out, and she's awesome at what she does. She's the best. Also, we're going to be doing niches on sermons, stand-up, and stories. So those 3 things, you can imagine all the different categories of things that's going to fall under that. Anyway, we're pretty excited about it. There's bound to be something here that you're going to find interesting or amusing, and we'll see you next time on It's 5 o'clock somewhere.